Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. Well, you guys are in luck. I got a guest for you this week. I know the last few times it's just been me, but I do have a guest for the show this week. I'm going to bring him in just a moment. As always, you can find this in the back episodes of our podcast at our website. It's called ordinarymarathoner.com. You can also find them at the aggregators, places like Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes. And if you like the show, hit that subscribe button and you'll never miss a new episode that way. You can also find me on social media over at Twitter. You can find me at OrdMarathoner. That's O-R-D Marathoner. And if you follow me there, I'll follow you back. And you can also find me at our Facebook discussion group. It's called Ordinary Marathoners. Go figure. It's a closed group, but add yourself to the group and we'll approve you right away and you can join the conversation that way. We got a lot going on this week. We're in the middle of the Million Moo March, which is our virtual race, the one that we're putting on with Melissa Kahn and the Run Heifer Run group over there. And, I got to tell you, man, you guys are really impressing me with your runs and your social media posts. There was a little confusion there, and I just want to clear it up. Now, initially, we said that you could run any day that you want. You can run any distance, and that still holds. The only thing we did was we added a whole bunch of prizes, and one of them is a raffle that we're going to hold every day for anyone who posts on social media and post their run, does a run, and then posts it on social media. So we didn't want to sort of restrict that. So if you're going to run every day, post every day, and you can be eligible to win the raffle. We already gave away a Greasy Girl headband. She is a sponsor of the Million Moo March. So, if you want to get involved, go for a run, post it on social media, either at our Facebook group, it's Million Moo March, or on Twitter using the hashtag Million Moo March, and we'll see it. We'll put your name in the hat every day, until Sunday. The race goes until Sunday. And, we're looking forward to it. It's been pretty awesome so far. So anyway, all right, I want to bring in our guest right now because I've been talking for like the last 3 weeks to myself, so it's nice to have someone new. We have a guy that runs the website. It's called The Cheap Athlete. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastic. Thanks for having me on here.
So should I call you Mr. Athlete or Cheap?
I don't think either of those work. Mr. Athlete sounds pretty awesome.
We'll go with Mr. Athlete then. I like Mr. Athlete.
I like it. Makes me feel good.
So, I found you on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and we've been talking. I've been trying to get you on the show, and I'm glad we actually had a different guest that I was going to bring in this week, and she had a family emergency. She had to bail, and you were able to step in on such short notice. So thank you very much. I'm really happy you were able to join us here.
Oh, of course, I'm very happy. This is my second ever podcast appearance. I'm hoping to say quite a. Yeah, I'm hoping that there'll be a few less ums in your nose on this one, but we'll see when it plays back.
You know what, man? It doesn't ever go away. It doesn't ever go away. I can't do it myself. Can't get rid of my ums, my likes, your nose. I have this like weird ticket too. It's like. I do that. I sound like a freaking rat. It's just annoying when you hear yourself played back all the time. But
it is. I just cringe.
So, I know you run this website called cheapathlete.com. But I really wanted to sort of take a step back here because I think a lot, one of the things that we focus here on the program is we like to get runners on here and kind of tell their story. So, how is it like, what is your background in running? What is your background? I know you also do triathlon too. So I'm anxious to hear, sort of like your career path and what led you to developing this website, Cheap Athlete.
Sure. So long time ago, running was kind of always around my life. I started in like elementary school or, middle school gym class when they make you run the 800 or whatever. And I would kind of beat up on everybody. And then they would send you to the county track meet and I would do pretty well. But I never really pursued it because I got into competitive swimming when I was like 11. So at that time, a lot of the people in my area weren't also great swimmers. And I was tearing people up in swimming. So I thought maybe I'm going to be an amazing swimmer. So I kind of went.
You're the next Michael Phelps.
Yeah, although I did watch him when he was like 11, and he was already beating us when he was 11 and we were 15, which is already disheartening. But kind of put all my eggs into the swimming basket for a long time. Running was kind of around for like, we'd come back kind of out of shape, and coach would make us run a bunch of laps around campus or whatever to cut some weight. But I graduated college, and I did what most ex-college swimmers do, and that's stop doing everything for a while and just drink a bunch of beer and eat a bunch of pizza.
That sounds like a familiar story myself too.
Yeah, so as fun as that was, I did that for a couple years, and for a while, I was working for a hedge fund close to my house, and then the hedge fund shut down, and so I had to take a new job that was farther away. And if I live in New Jersey, and anybody who knows New Jersey knows that Route 1 is a really terrible place to drive on, and then the New Jersey Turnpike is equally as bad. So in order to avoid the traffic, I would get to the office at like 6:30 in the morning, and kind of had zero interest and started working at 6:30 in the morning. So I just started running because there was no pool there, so running was kind of familiar. And I started off like most people do, just started running like, a couple miles on the treadmill here and there. And then I like to have a goal. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll try to break 20 minutes into 5K or something. That'll be like my long-term goal. And then I signed up for 5K a couple months later, and I was like 20 point. I was like, oh boy, I need a new goal. And then right around that time, I think about 4 or 5 months into just hamstering away on that treadmill, my brother-in-law invited me to do this relay race. I don't know if you've ever done one of these relay races, but I did the Blue Ridge Relay in North Carolina. It's one of these silly 200-mile relays where you run with like 11 people.
You go into the van and
right? Yeah, and he's like,
hey, the Ragnar, right? Like the the Ragnar one.
Yeah, I did one Ragnar actually. I did Wasatch back in Utah. Blue Ridge is a little bit more grassroots, which is kind of more awesome because there's like 100 teams instead of 1,000. So in the middle of the night, you might be the only person out there. You don't even know if you're lost or on track anymore. So he's like, hey, you want to join a bunch of randos down in North Carolina and run up a bunch of mountains and hang out in the van? I was like, yeah, dude, that sounds awesome.
It's perfect.
So once I kind of went out there, everything really clicked for me. It kind of went from just kind of running on the treadmill just to avoid traffic to really kind of becoming a way of life for me. I guess it's just being outside versus on the treadmill or whatever. It clicked with me, and I just kind of got that passion. And then, a few years later, crossing over the finish line of an Ironman. So it's just kind of, that was really the tipping point for me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you had the running and then you had the swimming background. So it only made sense, right, to add the bike.
Yeah. It actually, I figured that out when I was injured because I kept getting hurt. I think most runners, when they start, they tend to overdo it and they find themselves injured a lot. So my default was
telling my story, man. You were telling.
Yeah. So I think, I found myself jumping in the pool a lot. That was kind of my default.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, heck, man, I was a Division I swimmer, and now I'm a pretty decent marathoner. If only I could learn how to bike, I'd probably be a decent triathlete.
Yeah.
Turns out, the bike is about 60% of the overall race. So even though I probably had 40% good, I was a pretty lousy cyclist when I started, which was kind of frustrating.
That's where I am now. Yeah, that's where yeah, it is frustrating.
It is. And so like, I pretty much don't train at all for swimming, but I would come out one of the top people, and then I would watch everybody pass me on their bike when I first got started. It was really disheartening. And then, I'd try to catch up a bunch during the run, but, I was able to catch up probably half the people that would pass me, but I'm still kind of working on getting better there.
Yeah. So let's take a step back here for a second. And like what marathons did you do on your way to get into the Ironman?
Sure. So I actually, my resume is probably not as prolific as a lot of people, mainly because I like to choose one or two races here and there and make a destination out of it. So I like to go to cooler places versus do like a race every weekend. I think I'm pretty well primed from being a swimmer for so long to understand race day jitters and all that stuff. So I don't see the necessity in paying for like a tune-up race.
Right.
But
I hear you.
So I've done.
You're cheap, man. That's your name.
I am, yes.
But you're going on trips, so you're not cheap.
Although I use travel hacking a lot for that. I have an article on that, how I like to travel for borderline free using credit card rewards. But the first marathon I did was in Jersey, not a big destination race for me. That was in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
I did that one. And then this past year, I did the Charleston Marathon down in South Carolina. So that was a destination there. Right. And then those are the only two I've done. I'm doing Boston in April.
I was going to say, it says on your website that you qualified for Boston. So you're no joke. You got this stuff down, man. You're an expert.
Oh, I appreciate it. I mean, I train a lot.
Yeah.
My resume is not as deep. I've run the BRR like 7 times, so that's kind of more of my go-to race.
Yeah, that's that relay you were talking about, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I did when I first did ACC. I tore my hamstrings on miles 24 and 25, so I kind of wobbled into the finish line and just missed the BQ.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I paid for a couple more marathons, never actually got to the start line.
Done that
because
too.
various injuries. That kind of sparked actually the next couple of years of doing triathlons. I was like, all right, maybe I'll just take a break and kind of ease up on the running because I'm not hurt when I do triathlons.
Yeah. So so you've got Boston coming up in the spring. So when did you do your first? Was it an Ironman try or was it just like a non-Ironman event?
No, I did a full trial in 2015. I did Mont Tremblant.
Yeah.
I
heard that's awesome. I heard it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. I know you just did Placid. It's probably similar in about like the amount of climbing. I think there's about 4,000 or 5,000 feet of climbing. Which
it's pretty close to the same as Placid. I also did Maryland, which was super flat, but it was really windy. But Tremblant, I don't know. I've heard about it. I've heard great things. So your experience, I'm assuming, was the same.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
I've done one. I think I've done 4 halves.
Yeah.
But only one full. And I know we were discussing a little bit earlier before we went live here. I have kind of a longer commute and a job in finance, and finding time to go for 100-mile bike rides all the time is very difficult.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it, it was cool to kind of get that under my belt and be like, all right, I'm an Ironman. It never gets old saying that.
Did you get the tattoo?
No, I did not. I thought about it. My wife was kind of not on board with it, and
don't get it. Don't get it then.
Did you?
You know what? I haven't yet, but my wife is on the other end of it. She's like, "Why haven't you got your tattoo yet?" I don't want anything. I don't want anything big or colorful, or I just want like a little like a prison tattoo. Just the outline.
Just like run under your eye, just right on the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Right. With the teardrop, right?
Yeah, exactly. I went for just the magnet on the back of my station wagon. I figured that's
a good one. Actually, I saw that down in Maryland. I was going to buy it and I didn't because you know what? Like I was going to get the bumper sticker, but I have a lease, so I don't want to like have to scrape off the bumper sticker when it's done. But that's good. That's good stuff. So, I mean, would you have? So how did you finish in Tremblant? Was it like? Were you happy with it?
I was. Yes and no. It was about 86 degrees that day, which
wow,
which is tough to try to run a marathon after you biked 112. I started dry heaving on like mile 13 or 14.
Yeah,
and so from like 15 to 26, it was a lot of run walk, and running unfortunately is one of my stronger legs. But by that point, it was just survival.
It's hard. I mean, it's they call it the Ironman shuffle. By that point, it's just I know guys that have walked the entire marathon, so that like they don't even try to run. It's like, we're gonna do like a 7-hour walk here and just put the medal around my neck and just be happy with that. I try to run as much as I can, but you're at that point after it's such a long day. I give it to anyone who can finish that and run the whole way. It's incredible, and then to watch the pros do it, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild because some of those guys go under like 3 hours and they just biked 112. And one of my buddies just ran Kona, one of my teammates from college, or he did Kona, the World Championships.
Did he qualify?
And some of my other, he did. He qualified.
Wow.
He qualified at Coeur d'Alene, and then so some of our other teammates who aren't into triathlons, they were all tracking him live. And when he's after like 13, he started putting out like 11, 12 minute miles per like, dude, is he dying? Or like, no, you don't understand these things. The wheels come off the bus at like 13, and then you're just trying to. And even those guys qualified for World Championships, and they're even doing it. So it's kind of hard for people outside of the sport to understand what happens in those last 13 miles. I mean, I think you burned off like.
Yeah. I think when I did it, I remember people were tracking me, and I posted like I was closing in on 16 hours. So, but I knew I was going to make it, and I think I had to hit the bathroom at one point. And I stayed on the line, and I posted like a 22-minute mile, And everyone was like worried that people track you, they get worried, once you start slowing down. It's like, I just had to pee, man. Come on.
I mean, they're an animal, and I was lucky enough. I did all right. You tend to forget sometimes that everybody else is also out there in 86 degrees doing all this stuff too. So I think I finished, I don't know, maybe in the top 10 or 15%.
That's awesome. That's great.
There was another race I did. I think I did a half, and I was just having a miserable race, walking all over the place, and I just finished and left, and then I didn't even realize I won an award. Like I kind of forgot that everybody else was racing in this sandy dirt run in like 90 degrees, and maybe I was actually doing well comparative to everybody else. But when I finished Tremblant, I actually just involuntarily, I hadn't planned it. I jumped across the finish line, waved my arms in the air, which was kind of a risky move because I wasn't sure my legs would
hold you up.
hand me. And so I finished. I was really excited, and I don't know if it was like this for years, but this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, congratulations! Here's your finisher hat." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much." And they walk with you to make sure you're not going to die.
Is that what it is? Because I just thought they were being nice.
No, and he's like, "Hey, man, congratulations! That was a cool finish." I was like, "Thanks." He's like, "Do you want a chocolate milk?" I was like, "Yeah, I want some chocolate milk." So I downed this chocolate milk, and then within 20 seconds, I immediately threw it right back up into that new finisher hat I just got. No. I was like so proud about this.
Did you get a new hat?
No, it's the same one. It's this silly paper painter's hat. Yeah, and I just barfed chocolate milk on it immediately.
Oh, man.
And then, I went to the finisher corral. It's pretty much the same thing. You get your food.
They got good food there. It's funny. So I just finished the New York City Marathon last week, and I used to like the little bag that they give you at the end. And I don't know. You said you haven't done that one, but it's like an apple and a power bar and a Gatorade, a thing of pretzels and a bottle of water. And I'm like, oh, it's a nice little bag, but you pay like $280 for the race. It's like, and then you go to when you finish Ironman, it's like, it's a nice little spread there, pizza and sandwiches. And I was the same way at Tremblant.
Well, I was actually a little late. So they had pasta, which is probably the last thing. Yeah. And it's like, come on, dude, we've been carb loading for like months.
Right.
All I wanted was a piece of pizza. That's kind of my favorite.
And they didn't have
after
it?
Race. No. So I'm sitting there eating this pasta, and I started throwing up again. And one of the women there, she's trying to give me like a little baggie, kind of like Garth in like Wayne's World when he's trying to make the guy throw up into like a little solo cup, and he's like, here, throw up into this. And I just kept going to the trash can. It was just miserable. But I finished. Did all right. Probably won't do another one again until I get a little more time on my hands.
You got Boston to focus. That's like that is a race. That's a race of a lifetime right there. I mean, it's impressive to be able to qualify for it. So you gotta, you have to focus your time. If I were you, that's what I would be doing. I would just be focused on Boston, making sure you put your best foot forward there. And that's a great race, man. Have you ever been up to Boston?
We swam Boston College when I was in school. So we came up to the pool, beat them, got right back in the bus, and went home. So that's my experience with Boston.
There you go.
Have you run it?
I've never run Boston. I used to live right across the street from Boston College there, and which was right. There's a corner right there called Cleveland Circle that they're. It's about maybe 3 miles. I'm guessing about 3 miles away from the finish line, maybe 2 or 3 miles, and so we would hang out right on that corner there. Usually I'm working, so I wasn't out there. But one day, I did take the day off and I watched the race. It was, I tell you, it was, it's a great crowd. It's a great race. Iconic, really. It's a great experience. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I was jealous. I'm a bit jealous.
I do realize, I'm kind of lucky to have, qualified, I think only something like the 75th percentile or 72nd percentile actually qualify. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like a 3:20 I have to run, which I'm like a 5:20. So it's like, that ain't happening. But, and
you got to take off 3 more minutes off that because it took BQ -3, I think, this year. So every year it's getting even harder.
Yeah, because everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it. The sport is growing at an amazing rate. And I'm going to cut you off there because we're going to go to break here. And then we're going to come back. I want to talk a little bit more about your website, cheapathlete.com, and what you're doing over there. So let's do that when we get back from the break.
Cool.
I often get asked questions about how I started my journey into running. Well, very simply, it started with that first step, which is often the most difficult one to take. Recently, I enlisted the help of Coach Nick Cumbo from Ascension Multisport, and together we developed the Ordinary Marathoner Couch to 5K, As an experienced coach, Nick offers guidance to runners and triathletes of any level, with any goal, whether it be that first 5K, an Ironman triathlon, or an ultramarathon. I even hired him myself to help me train for Ironman Maryland. So check out the Couch to 5K program at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com, or enlist Coach Nick's help directly at ascensionmultisport.com. Mention the podcast for a discount on your personal training package, and take that first step today. All right, we're back here from break with the Cheap Athlete from I say but really the website is cheapathlete.com. I'm stuttering over myself. You got to be careful when you say these things because people then will put the wrong thing in the web browser. Let's say it again.
You don't know where you end up at cheapy.
Right, I know. cheapathlete.com. And you know what? I think the concept of this is great because I know, from my Ironman experience is these races are not cheap. I mean, you could practically buy a bike for what it costs to enter one of these things. And, then you have to travel and all that stuff. I mean, you would think that running as a sport is all you got to do is buy sneakers and go running. But it never winds up that way. It's like one of those things where you travel for races, like you do your relay race. And, I'm heading out to Phoenix in February for a marathon. So, I mean, it sounds like it would be such a cheap sport, meaning it wouldn't cost anything. But I mean, I think for most of us, a lot of people out there, that's the one thing, cost is always restrictive when it comes to, what you want to do and what you're able to do. Is that sort of the motivation behind starting this thing?
Yeah, there was a kind of a number of things that kind of all came together before I finally decided to do this. The overall theme of the site is kind of athletic frugality, but it's not a place where you're going to come read an article on like how to make shoes out of a tissue box or something ridiculous. It stays within the realm of like normal people decisions. I found for a while, I was increasingly, my friends, colleagues, and family were always coming up to me and asking me for advice, right? They were like, what kind of bike should I buy? Or do you think this training plan makes sense to me? So I was starting to kind of become a trusted resource for a lot of people.
Yep.
And in my own way, I was getting growing really tired of every time, when I started bicycle commuting, I know I was telling you, I drive and I ride a folding bike for the last 2 miles.
Yeah.
So I needed some gear, and I was tired of all these top 10 lists, right? Like top 10 jackets for bike commuting. And you go to that and it's just some guy only getting affiliate income. And it's like,
right,
every jacket is like $500. Like, come on, this is stupid.
Clickbait.
I just want to know.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to know 10 from the bottom, right? Like, what is a decent jacket that's not going to fall apart, that's not a piece of junk, but it's going to get the job done? And I found there's just not enough sites that are kind of devoted to telling you all you really need versus people like Runner's World. And, with all respect to them, I join them and I read them too, or like these bicycling magazines that are just kind of fantasy at some point, right? They're telling you to buy these $80 shirts when you can buy a perfectly good shirt at Target for $7. So I think my own frustrations kind of combined with a lot of people coming to me is like, maybe I should try this. Who knows what'll happen? So I kind of launched it earlier this year. It's been going okay. It's blogging is its own animal that I'm still playing around with.
Yeah.
I did
not an
hit
easy
a mess.
thing. I hope it's not your only job.
No, I'd be starving if it were. It's just, I'm doing it for fun because, that's what you do when you have a full-time job, a long commute, and you're an endurance athlete. You like to stay up late in the middle of the night writing posts to people that might not read it. But I did hit a big milestone this week. My mom found my blog, which was pretty exciting for me.
So she didn't even know. She didn't know that you were blogging. She just stumbled across it.
I can't tell you how she and my sister found it, but like 2 days ago, just this flurry of angry text messages to me. And I think my mom was concerned. I was like, Mom, you don't want to read about bikes and running. Like, why would you care? And she was concerned I was hiding something from her or something, but not who I expected the first friend or family to find it, but it is. But I have nothing to hide on there. It's really just trying to give advice to beginners, as well as I'm a pretty frugal dude, and I have an economics degree. So I try to apply like the economic thought process to like even silly items like Body Glide, or bigger picture items like I'm writing one now on, the economics behind my athletic scholarship, whether or not that even makes sense. And then, when it comes to the training and stuff, or the traveling, like we were talking about, I do maximize a lot of travel hacking and credit card rewards to try to go to all these races for free. So I'll be very selective in where I want to go, and then I'll figure out a way to not have to pay. Because, like you said, right, it's like $800 to join an Ironman. We're like, well, heck, that already hurts. But if you open up a credit card that has like $1,000 spend requirement, and then use that to pay for your Ironman registration fee, you then might get a free flight out of there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's actually, and I never even thought, I hate credit card debt. So it's like, I never even get these cards. And my wife just signed up for one with JetBlue, and she's like, all right, we'll use the card, and then we'll use all the miles. And it's like, maybe that's what I should have been doing all along. Especially, I'm doing this Phoenix trip, and it's like, oh, we got to buy flights, and I'm staying with a friend out there. So it's like, every little thing you can do to kind of, detract from the cost, the overall cost from it helps. So, I think, what you got going on over there is a pretty good idea. And I think a lot of people would be interested in it.
Yeah, I think, so like last year, for instance, I raced Charleston, I raced Boulder 70.3. I didn't pay for any of those flights. And then my hotel room, I've already pre-booked for Boston, which is going for like $300 or $400 a night, and right in that Boston Common area. I think it's called Harvard Square, one of those things. I clearly don't know Boston, but I was able to book with some Chase points. So I got 2 nights for free. So I've been pretty good about this. Every 3 months, I'm opening up a new one, and I'm just rolling those points, and I'm picking a cool destination, and then just for a little bit more than the race fee and taxes, I'm on the flights or whatever, I'm getting out there. And then I'm able to experience vacation as well without kind of, running us broke while my wife would rather not be watching me.
Have you figured out how you're going to get to the starting line from where you start, from where your hotel is? Because that's the one kind of annoying thing about Boston is it's a point to point. So it's not like you can go park your car and then run 26 and then jump back in the car and drive home.
So where it's counterintuitive, but I want to also experience Boston. That's kind of the thing. Like, I go to these cities. I don't want to just like hang out in the outskirts. And with all respect to people in the outskirts, I'm sure they're fine, but I want to see Boston for what it is. So I'm staying right there where I think the shuttle picks you up, which is closer to the end. Yep. And it takes you all the way to the beginning, which is kind of a haul. Yeah. But you got to wait up early, and I'm not an elite, so I'm not going with like, all the professionals, right? We get a later start. So you're waking up super early, going out there. It's kind of going to be a long day. I've heard it's a long day. People advise you to stay near the beginning, but I kind of want to experience it. So I figure I'll just kind of suck up a crappy day. I'm more concerned about trying to figure out, my parents want to come up and how they're even going to see me. Apparently even being a spectator is very difficult. Yeah. And I'd hate for them to come all the way up and not see me.
They could I don't know. I would guess the finish line is probably really crowded. But I think anywhere along the way, the only thing with that is like New York is kind of like loopy, and you can kind of, if you're a spectator, you can pick the people up, you can pick up your runner in 3 or 4 different places if you really wanted. I think in Boston being a point to point and the way it's run, it's like you gotta, and it's really, the road that you run on is pretty much the most traveled road. So it's like, you're basically looking at trying to meet you probably in one spot, and probably closer to the city, I would assume, because that's going to be closer to your hotel room. But I think that they'll find a place, and if you get there a day early or something, you can kind of scout one out, and all right, I'll meet you here, and I think you'll be fine with that. And it sounds really cool. You're gonna love Boston. Boston's a great city. I was 33 when I moved there, or 34. And I loved it. It was absolutely a great experience living there for a few years. And I think you'll enjoy the city itself, and I think you'll love the marathon. I think overall, even though they talk about Heartbreak Hill, I think overall it's a downhill marathon. So you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at running hills just from running in the Blue Ridge Mountains all these years. So
right. You're not even worried.
Too concerned. The thing I'm the most concerned about is I somehow got this random ankle injury about 3 weeks ago. And I think it's related to running or from cycling, but I thought it was related to running. So I've been cycling to nurse it, and I think I've just been making it worse. I'm hoping, I need to probably start my program early December if I want to get going. So I only have a couple more weeks before I start getting a little nervous about my program.
Right. You gonna try to give it some rest, or?
Yeah, I'm staying off it, but I'm pretty bad about that. I'm one of those guys that's like, does it still hurt? Let me check again. And then it hurts. I got a few miles in this weekend and it didn't hurt, but then I went mountain biking on Sunday and then it hurt. So I probably should just shut down the flipping bike at this point, but it's kind of hard.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And actually I train on the bike now all the time too. And when I started, like you said, I started out just running, and then, my workouts was basically to run most of the time. And, you run 6-7 days a week. I was even doing two runs a day at times. And, in the course of like 2 months, I just wore myself out, and, I got a stress fracture in my my shin bone. And, it's like, then I discovered, like, you can do all these other things. You can swim, you can bike, you can do the elliptical, you can lift. And by mixing all those up, I think it helped me. And much like it probably helped you, although it sounds like, I don't know, if you get hurt on the bike, that's a little.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I had a big year. I trained a ton this year. And it was probably just my ankle being like, dude, I need a break. I do find most of my injuries come when I only do running specific workouts, and that's why I'm a little concerned going into this, because I follow the Hanson Brothers marathon program, which is 6 days a week. It's pretty intense, and we always have a joke with me and my training buddy that every time we flip the page to like week 14 or whatever, one of us ends up getting some kind of problem. So I'm hoping I'm literally not limping into the program, because who knows what's going to happen when I turn that page.
Right.
But I'm going to run that thing regardless. If I have to just dial it down and just get the finisher medal.
I tell you, the person we were going to have, the woman we were going to have on the show last night, that she couldn't make it, and actually I'm hoping she's going to be on next week. She was a guide for a runner with one leg in the New York City Marathon. So,
that's awesome.
So you got no excuses, man. You still got 2 legs. It's Boston. You got to go out there and do it.
I need to. I want that medal, and I'll probably frame that one next to my Tremblant medal.
Yeah, there you go.
Whenever I finish my basement.
So listen, let's return to that to the website of yours and sort of this project that you got going on, because I noticed that one of the things that and I think this probably goes along with your experience too, is that you were a swimmer and a runner, and then you had to learn the bike. And I'm probably like a year behind you on that learning scale, because basically what I did, I just went and bought the bike. And I went in, I was like, all right, I'm going to spend $1,000 on a bike. I just want a bike that will get me through the race. And then everyone was telling me, like, that's not enough. You're not going to give yourself a chance. You're going to get too weak a bike, and it's going to, be a detriment. And I'm already like, flirting with not being able to finish because I'm slow and I don't need anything else to ruin it for me. So I did pay up a little, and I think I got a decent bike. It's a road bike. And, and then I was reading your site, and you basically have an article where you sort of piece together a bike for, about $1,000. And, how did you put that together? It sounds like a lot of research.
Yeah. It's weird too, because like you, I probably bought the bike first and then figured out what you should have done later.
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience buying bikes because, I'm a cyclist, so I like to buy bikes, and then I like to sell bikes, and I like to buy new ones. So the very first one I bought when I got into all this, and this is what I advise most people to do when they get into, is to buy off Craigslist a used one first. And the reason is it's like a car, a bike will depreciate immediately. Yeah. But unlike a car, a bike has a price floor. So I bought this first bike. It was like a felt road bike with like Sora components. I bought it for $300. I rode the heck out of it for like 3 years. Yeah. And then I sold it for $300. And it was like it was a perfect deal. Except for that's when I kind of realized how focused we get on like small stuff and how it really doesn't fix things. So I traded that in for like a Cannondale with Ultegra level components, like forced components, which is kind of a more expensive one. Yeah. I bought it in December when it was half price, right? So same thing with cars, new models rolls in, all of a sudden these ones are worthless.
Yeah, it's true. I got mine. That's the same way I got mine. It was like a late season sale, and it was like 30% off. Yeah,
I think it was about 40%, and I knew it I got it through a guy that worked at Cannondale that I used to swim against in college. Yeah. So I got this bike and I was really excited. I was like, oh, dude, I'm going to be so much faster now, right? So I go out, same loop. I'm excited. I look down at my watch at the end. It was the same flipping time I do on the other bike. I was like, all right, maybe it's not as as big of a difference as everything as I read on these articles. The article I think you're referring to, I think, was how much I spent on a road bike.
Yeah.
And it's pretty great. So I love bikes, but I'm also cheap. So I just like seeing them, right? And I just like seeing them. And I almost had to buy this bike last year because it was such a wild deal. But REI, which I think a lot of people have REIs near them, it's a fantastic store.
Yeah.
And they carry Diamondback bikes. And for whatever reason, Diamondbacks used to be kind of just like a BMX bike company, and you buy them at Target. And everybody snubs their noses at these bikes now, but they're making really, really great bikes, and they're high end. They put really high end components and nice wheels and stuff on them, but nobody buys them because everybody's kind of snobby about it. So they're always on sale. So I was at REI, and they had this Diamondback Century, which is like their endurance frame, and it was marked down from like $2,000 to $1,000. And then if you were an REI card member that weekend, you could get 20% off your sale. So you could have gotten an Ultegra level bike for $800, which the same thing from Cannondale is like $3,000.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're just paying for frame, right? There's really no difference because they're slapping the same head wheels on it. They're slapping the same Shimano Ultegra components. All you're talking about is a frame. There's no way that frame is worth like $1,200 like, unless you're like in the tour, right? Or you're professional and you do care about 4 seconds over like some miles. I mean, most of us are, we're good. We treat it the races with respect, and we like to do well, but we don't need to go spend $1,200 to be ever so slightly faster.
Yeah.
When you think about how much
you do see
so many.
I was going to say, like when we were in Lake Placid, like you do see, you'll see a car drive by and the bike on top of it is worth more than the car underneath it.
At least they have their priorities straight. Right. And I would say I bought a tri bike when I did Ironman because I think it was similar to you. It's like, all right, man, I need to get to the end as fast as I can, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to, if I could take off 15, 20 minutes by buying this bike, I have some disposable income, that's fine. And I've been writing an article about this for like 6 months now. I can't seem to finish this darn thing about kind of the benefit from different places where you can buy speed. And that position from a road bike to a triathlon bike, you can get some huge gains just from not being as unaerodynamic.
Right.
But then the marginal gains from a triathlon bike to like a super duper ridiculous triathlon bike and adding like $2,000 wheels are very, very small.
Right.
So you can even mimic a lot of that just by slapping on like $200
that's what I
aero
did.
bars to your
That's
road
what
bike.
I did. I was just going to say, wow, dude, should I be buying a tri bike now? Cause I got a road bike that I literally just threw the aero bars on. It does the job, but I'm definitely a little jealous of some of my fellow competitors when I look at the bikes next to me. I'm like, I want that one now.
Yeah. And I mean, they get crazy. I think like that Demand brand is like 13,000. Like if you are seriously considering one, I think one of the better brands out there in terms of value is Felt, right? Felt can offer like an Ultegra level bike for 2,000, but then Cervelo offers the same thing for $3,500. And Felt is just a more efficient company at producing that stuff. So if you ventured down the rabbit hole that far and you're like, you know what, I'm buying this thing come hell or high water, and that's kind of what I did.
Yeah.
Felts are kind of ones, and you see people that win Kona and races on Felt. So this is a high-end brand. So, I do recommend them. If you think you need one, it's debatable. I had these aspirations of getting sponsored, which, is still a possibility. And I was like, well, it'll all pay back when somebody else pays for my races. And it's silly bike purchase. You can get a little bit faster, but it's really not needed. And especially early on, your road bike is probably a better purchase to begin with. Especially because you can't repurpose your triathlon bike to like riding around the beach, right? You're not going to like go get ice cream with your kids on a triathlon bike.
I'm actually, even with the road bike, like I'll ride down the local path with my daughter who's 8, and she's just learning how to ride her 2-wheeler, and it's I have the aero bars on, and it's like it's like I
do you have an aero helmet too while you're doing it?
Not quite, but I definitely have to wear a helmet around her. She'll yell at me if I don't. Even though we're going 2 miles an hour, because that's about as fast as she can go. But she's getting there. I think next year is going to be her breakout year with the bike.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that as a dad. So all right. So tip number 1 is to get to pick up speed would be to go into more of like a tri bike, or even just the aero bars, like you said, on the road bike, which I like to hear because that's kind of where I'm at now. But I'm still thinking about maybe doing the next one. So maybe the felt is the next one for me. I don't know.
Felt or used. I think what's great about triathlon bikes is people always buy them with great intentions, and somebody goes out and buys some just freaking spaceship, and then they ride it for like one race, and then it sits in their garage for like 5 years,
Right.
and they depreciate. So then you could scoop up a really fancy bike from 5 years ago now for a pretty good price, and like I said, so much of the gains come just from the position. You can really get a steal.
Yeah. I've been practicing, and then I even better. I could keep one bike on the trainer and have one to ride outside, as opposed to trying to take that thing on and off the damn trainer every time, which is so annoying.
I wouldn't know because I refuse to ride the trainer.
I don't know.
I just can't be in place.
I'm up in, you're in New Jersey. I'm sure you get a lot of snow, but I'm up in Mass. We get a little bit more snow, but I'm anti cold weather. And I know you said you do this commute where you ride the bike for 2 miles every day, but in the winter that's got to be tough, no?
Yeah, it's kind of fun. That's the first thing everybody asks is, so I park 2 miles away from my office, and there's really no public transportation there, so I'm getting there no matter what, in the rain or the cold.
Yeah,
I've crashed, and it's a folding bike, which makes it pretty hilarious, especially when you crash it. When you're riding this little bike with 20-inch wheels, and then you crash it on the snow, and all the cars just like, you idiot. But no, I go through. I have a ton of gear. None of it's really high end. Like I said, when I started looking for a lot of this gear, this is what really just started to annoy me and why I started all this. So a lot of my gear is pieced together from Amazon and Costco and BJ's and random stuff. It does an admirable job at all of that. And then I have my big old mittens, which I just wrote a post on these mittens because I love these things.
I saw that. I read that one. You were talking about shifting with the mittens on.
Yeah, they're huge. They're ski mittens. They're not made for cycling or whatever, but I got them at Dick's for like $29.
There you go.
And I struggle a lot with cold hands, especially on a bike. And these things are like asbestos lined. I don't know what's with them, but to anybody who needs a run through the winter, I highly recommend the Hot Fingers mittens. They're unbelievable.
There you go. He's got tons of tips all on his website too. You can check it out. It's cheapathlete.com. You can also find him over at Twitter, and the address there is also at Cheap Athlete, and also your Instagram, right, is also at Cheap Athlete.
I'm pretty sure. I don't use Instagram quite as much.
Yeah, I don't do that one either. I think I'm signed up there, but I'm never on there. I never grabbed Instagram for some reason.
It's too many to deal with, and I have real life I got to deal with too. So I try to focus mainly on Twitter and just hope people are going to stumble across the site. It's coming slowly and surely though.
Hopefully we can get a couple people throwing your way after the podcast today. And listen, man, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. The Cheap Athlete, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot for having me, man.
All right. So we'll be back again next week on the show. And, like I said, I'm going to try to get Melissa Diaz on the show. And she was our friend who she guided the runner through the New York City Marathon who had one leg. Incredible story. I hope we can get her on. But I do actually have a backlog of guests here too, which is like, I guess it's a good problem to have. It's like having too much pitching. But we'll get them all on. We'll get a good rotation going. I'm really excited. We got a lot going on. The Million Moon March, we're still in the middle. So if you're participating, keep it up, keep those runs going, keep posting on social media. Love to hear from you. And always remember, when it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.